So this is what I actually look like. What is up, guys? Welcome back. So today we are going to be playing with all things Charlotte Tilbury, the cult favorites that I bought from the Sephora sale, as well as a couple of new things from her. And I'm gonna be kind of walking you through how I achieved this entire makeup look. I will not lie to you. I am not 100% satisfied with this makeup look. And there were some adjustments along the way to make it something that I liked better based on how I like to wear my makeup, because a handful of these products are completely not what I expected. Some of that has to do with me coming in with incorrect expectations, and others of them have to do with the fact that I just don't recommend them. Also, you might notice we are in 4K now. Oh my gosh, and I'm gonna go ahead and warn you up front, when I move you in, it gets real. I've got like all this makeup on now, and hopefully in post I'm still as satisfied with it as I can see it in my monitor. Like, oh wow, at this distance, that's just fine. But you're gonna watch me go through like an emotional journey of being like, wow, that's really what my skin looks like, huh? Like there's really just no escaping my pores and the crinkliness under my eyes and just the reality of it all. So all of that said, the new things to my channel that we are going to be testing today are her Filmstar Bronze and Glow. Little duo here, I got the mini. The Hollywood Superstar Glow Highlighter, this is brand new. We're going to be playing with the Eyes to Mesmerize in Oyster Pearl. Very, very cool stuff, completely different than what I expected. And the Exaggereyes Bigger, Brighter Eyes filter. It's the eyeshadow quad that I picked up in these beautiful cool tones. Also, her Cheek to Chic blush in Pillow Talk, again, a cult favorite. That's why I just had to know. And finally, her Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This is also new, and I got the little mini guy just to try it. So yeah, I'm going to move you guys in. You're going to be confronted with my face with just my complexion products on, just kind of reflective surface style, and we will get into putting this makeup on and getting my final thoughts. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump in. I also completely played myself because I went and did this cute little like Christmas background. And because of the bokeh of it all, of this lens, you can't even see it. I mean, there's like little birds right there and you can't even see them. Okay, so what I already have on my face right now is the Bite Changemaker Supercharge Micellar Foundation. I have this in the shade L10, which is, I don't know, it might be a little bit pale. I think I have the next deeper shade and I might give her a shot, but regardless, I've fallen back in love with this formula as it's gotten cooler outside. And I'm also wearing the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. I basically went through my collection and I was like, what's the highest coverage concealer that I have? Because my under eyes are telling on me, guys. Like, I've been getting a little more sleep lately, but honestly, it has just been such a long time since I've had a full night of rest. I remember when I used to be just so romantic and like cavalier about, you know, using just a color corrector under my eyes, which I do also have the Becca color corrector on underneath my eyes before I put all my complexion products on. But it's all extremely necessary, and I still get done with my makeup and I'm like, I can still see my dark circles. So just brace yourself for that, because again, there's really no hiding from this camera situation. So the first thing I'm gonna be starting with is this right here, and this is called the Filmstar Bronze and Glow. Unfortunately, the mini only comes in this color story, and there are two color stories in the larger. I'm not really sure why she did that, but I'm not a fan. I held up on buying this for a long time because when I went and swatched it in Nordstrom, I could have sworn that the Sculpt shade was shimmery, but it doesn't appear to be shimmery. However, it is warmer than I expected her to be. It's really sheer, which is nice because then you have options. It's, you know, got a lot of buildability to it, but at the same time, when I am looking for a contour, I am looking for something that is more cool toned. And it looks really cool toned in the pan, but they do call it a bronze and glow, even though it's a contour. I don't know. So we're just gonna put that on with my little Eco Tools brush here. But yeah, as you can see, that's not as cool of a contour shade as I would typically prefer. I actually, you know, really like the lip bar one. Yeah. So there's the contour from the lip bar that I use all the time, a pretty aggressive swatch. And then there's the Charlotte Tilbury, and it's just so much warmer. But maybe I have unrealistic expectations just because I thought it was going to be a contour highlight palette, and I think it's a bronze and glow highlight, or bronze and glow palette. I'm having trouble finding my words this morning. And I think even though it doesn't really look super shimmery. There is a little bit of shimmer. That's the one thing that I find about Charlotte Tilbury's products, is that her entire aesthetic, I said it was dewy bouncy in a previous video, and it is because she has these really beautiful plushy lip glosses and everything, but she also uses like, you know, 20-year-old models all the time, but it's more glowy. And I feel like that's the hard thing to back away from if you are doing like a full face of Charlotte Tilbury, is that you end up with so much shimmer on your face that you have to be careful. I don't know. I am appreciative that her bronzer is matte, and I don't actually have her setting powder or anything like that. And I know that there are going to be more, you know, matte products in her collection, but I've been surprised as I've used this a lot of times now, just like how hard it is to like back off the precipice of just getting really, really, really shimmery. I think that that's really pretty, but do you need this and the bronzer? I will swatch them next to each other when I put it on, and you'll see that they're kind of different, and hopefully that will help you make a decision as to which one you would want, but I would argue that you probably don't need both. So going in with the highlight from this palette, again, was hoping for more, granted, probably have unrealistic expectations. That's me coming in with expectations, and that's why I'm getting disappointed. But I was hoping for more of a pigment highlight than a shimmer highlight. And this is giving me shimmer highlight all day long. So A, not what I was expecting, but B, we're gonna end up with a lot of kind of overkill once I do put the highlighter and the bronzer on, but we're gonna do it anyway. So I am going to go in with the matte bronzer here just to show you how it looks when the two are combined. Who knows? Maybe you'll see it and you'll be like, well, Khaki, I think they go together really well. But that, guys, is the fairest shade in her matte bronzer. And as you can see, I mean, it practically looks like a concealer next to the Bronze and Glow, because that's a more universal palette. Like, that's what it's supposed to be, is it's supposed to match more skin tones. And so obviously it's gonna be a little deeper, a little warmer. The challenge that I run into with bronzers all the time, and why I love this one so dearly. Yes, we're just gonna do it very, very delicately. I just don't want to end up with my whole face bronze. Although I do think that the texture of this is going to be better for, see, that's what I ended up doing. But fortunately, all of her stuff blends really nicely on the skin. Once you kind of put it down, like you'll see me end up stamping it in some cases, and you'll be like, oh no, it's not gonna move around. Actually, it does a really good job of moving around. I think that sometimes, you know, makeup artist lines and stuff like that, they kind of have so much pigmentation to them that, you know, the sacrifice that you make, the trade-off that you make is that they don't blend as well once they get on the skin. Natasha Denona, I'm looking at you. Although I've never tried her blushes, but this is not the case with this one. I feel like this is a very user-friendly formula. It's just a matter, honestly, of understanding your own undertones and understanding the undertones of these products, because especially, and we'll get to this with her eyeshadow palettes, there's just such a menagerie of them. I mean, you can get totally wiped out just trying to like look at the swatches and decide which one is right for you. But I think that like it's worth the legwork, because there really is something, if not multiple things, for everyone. And I think that like she's really thought about color theory, but I wish that they did a better job of describing the color theory. I feel like that kind of goes for a lot of different brands, you know? Like we were talking about that with the Fenty blushes at one point, having like a descriptor for the amount of actual like intensity of pigmentation, because you'll look at something and it'll be really intensely pigmented because it's meant for deeper skin tones, but they won't tell you that. And so, you know, someone like me would buy something and it will, you know, I can't even wear it, you know, because it won't sheer out enough, kind of thing. And it's not that that's a bad thing that a product is like that. It's actually a very good thing, but you want to know before you pull the trigger and buy something, because at the end of the day, if it doesn't work for you, that's like wasted product and wasted packaging. So anyway, that's the bronzer situation. God, I mean, guys, this camera, it is just really making my under eyes, oh my God, they look so bad. Oh, they don't look that bad in person, but I did use like an eye mask from Versed this morning to try and kind of pep them up, and I don't think I got all of it off, so it might be kind of changing the texture underneath my eyes. Let's go in with the Cheek to Chic blush. So this is Pillow Talk. Can we talk about how different this looks in person than it does online? Every picture on Sephora looks different of this. Like there's one that makes it look like it's this like extremely desaturated mauve shade. Turns out it is a very like rosy, bricky kind of combo that is super shimmery. guys, I had no idea that this was gonna be shimmery. I wouldn't have bought it if I knew that it was gonna be shimmery. I'm kind of frustrated with it, to be honest, because I'll show you guys how it looks when it goes on. And it's not that just like the middle is shimmery or just the outside is shimmery, like they're both shimmery. There's not really much getting away from it. And I just don't love a shimmery blush because you'll see I can't get a satisfying level of pigmentation on my cheeks. I can't derive the actual local color that I'm going for, like a really nice rosy tone, without looking like I'm applying a highlighter. I don't know, it's just kind of, again, it's not what I expected. I don't think that every single thing that I put on my face should have shimmer in it. And so this one was disappointing, and I feel like it kind of threatens to ruin my whole face of makeup just because I don't need to accentuate texture right now. You can clearly see that. I've spent the money to make sure that you could. So I'm actually gonna go in with some of the Aether Amber palette because it's gonna give me more pigment satisfaction here and also matte. I just need some mattification. And I'm also going to go in with a little bit more of my Bite finishing powder because that's going to do the same thing. So, like I said, I'm going to swatch this highlighter for you guys. This is what she looks like. This thing is utterly beautiful. It comes in the same fat packaging as this guy, and it also has that pop-out pan that you can replace. I think that they sell replacements. Someone said they sell replacements for the bronzer on Sephora now. I didn't know that, so that's pretty cool. I haven't double checked that. This one reminds me more of kind of the Westman Atelier Peau de Pêche. It's still not like silvery. It's still kind of like pinky blushy on the skin, and that's why I kind of feel like it's overkill. Like I kind of already accomplished that with the blush. I'm not sure that I even need highlighter right now, but we're doing it. So yeah, I filmed this whole video already, and I really, really liked how it turned out, except that I only got the first half of the video. But I also didn't love the lighting. I definitely feel like I have a lot of work to do learning how to use this camera. It's just, no one's going to accuse me of using a skin filter. I don't know, guys. I'm not like loving my complexion right now. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I'm looking at my monitor. I don't know. It's just so gosh darn shimmery, and I know that I should have known that by like looking at her Instagram. All of her Instagram models and everything, they always have this like really, really harsh lighting on their face so that you can see all the highlight, and I always thought that it was exaggerated for that reason, but turns out it's just really shimmery in real life too. Okay, so I've got Oyster Pearl here in her Eyes to Mesmerize formula, and one of you guys did, probably more than one by now, did comment on that video and you were like, Khaki, it's not a topper, it's a beautiful cream eyeshadow. You are correct. I did not realize that. And one person actually asked if I could do like a one and done with this eyeshadow because they say that they hear from so many other people who have it and who have, you know, other shades in this formula, that this is a great formula for a one and done, a, you know, one shade, the elusive, mythical one shadow eye look kind of thing. And I will go ahead and spoil it for you and say it's entirely possible with this. I've done it before. I did it over the weekend. And the beauty of it is that, you know, you get kind of a perfect finish that's not too shiny or shimmery, God bless her, and then it's not too matte, and it also doesn't do anything like oily, greasy. It's not too pigmented. It's not so unpigmented that as you blend it, it completely goes away. I haven't tried the other shades in it, obviously. That's the shade we're working with here, Oyster Pearl, but I think that because it's so similar to my skin tone, and she does do a good job of like, I don't know, there's just a lot of things, you know, a lot of those kinds of shades for different people. A lot of these shades are really, really close to someone's skin tone. It's easier to go for a one shadow look because you don't have to do as much work blending. So that would be what I would do, you know, and then throw some eyeliner or mascara on, and that would be like your one shadow look. But I'm going to use this to prime, basically. We're going to regard that as if it is a primer, and we're going to work on top of it with the Exaggereyes palette here. So the reason that I went for this as we talked about in my Sephora haul, is because of the cool tones in it, and this being the main matte in there. That is something that kind of like, I don't know, it's like a color that naturally happens in my skin, and so therefore it makes a really, really good crease shade, good transition shade. And the other surprising thing with this was, you know, these are really, really beautiful and creamy. That's not, you know, those aren't surprising necessarily. Those are the two, you know, shimmer eyeshadows. But this, I thought this was gonna be like a, you know, a Huda level, like creamy, creamy metallic. And it actually is more like the Hourglass Scattered Light. It's more of a texture than it is an actual pigment. So, oh my God, you guys can clock my blending or lack thereof so much more now. I'm really hoping that this comes together and I don't look crazy. Okay, I'm gonna start with that beautiful mauve shade. Again, this is the only matte in the palette, and it is just a beautiful formula. Honestly, I had no idea how I was going to feel about her formula, because I'd never tried any of her shadows before, but it's super, super easy. Blends like a dream. I love this shade. And like I said, I think that doing the legwork, taking the time to really examine some swatches, maybe watch some reviews on different colorways in this, if you are thinking about buying a quad from her, will really behoove you, because there are so many, not just depths and colorways and things like that in these, but also she's been really mindful of undertones. And so understanding the undertones that you want, it doesn't necessarily have to match your undertones. You just have to kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Like, I can wear warm tones, I can wear cool tones, but I want to know what I'm buying. And so, this, I can definitely say from experience, is a beautiful cool tone situation. If you've had your eye on that Ilia cool toned, what's it called, the Necessary Eye Palette, it's always stinking sold out, at least on Sephora. I'm not sure about their actual website, but I don't know how I got my hands on that thing, but that's another one of my like essential cool tone palettes, and I would argue that this one is very, I mean, for being 4 pans instead of, what is that one, 6? I would say it's pretty similar. And as you can see, my benchmark for these kinds of things is the fact that I can make complete sentences while putting on my eyeshadow, and I have met that benchmark. So that means that it's a pretty easy formula. Going to go in with the palest shade here, and we're going to use that on my brow bone. Again, we are shimmery fam. And she did just come out with one, and I think that there have been other ones in the past that are like either mostly matte or entirely matte. So, you know, my choice again, that I ended up with something that has as much shimmer in it as it does. I'm gonna go in with the kind of deeper shimmer tone, the kind of peachy one, to blend here. And I'm gonna go all over my lid with that too. But I mean, that is so easy. This is one of those things where it's like, if I were to not be a YouTuber and I had to, you know, drill down and like buy an everyday eyeshadow palette that I was gonna get a lot of use out of on a regular basis and I wouldn't get tired of because there were enough options, this would be a contender for that, just because it doesn't have anything that I don't need, and it doesn't have anything super, super deep. I feel like I'm going to use every single one of these shadows in multiple ways. And there's a lot of excitement to be had in here. You know, you still have so many options. Like, I'm kind of using it in the basic way that you would expect to, you know, sort of mapped out here on the back. Each one of these has like a prime, enlarge, pop, define designation to it. So, you know, she's giving you instructions on how best to employ these shades, but at the same time, I feel like you could have plenty more options than just the way that it's set forth and not lose interest. All right, so I'm going to go in with this beautiful glitter, and that's going to take this from a very nice eye look to something that is just, I don't know, fancy? Is fancy the word? I think it's fancy. I feel fancy. Yes. And then, you know, once you do that, you can take more of the matte shade and blend your crease so that you don't end up losing all that work that you did building a believable crease. So if you haven't heard my spiel on this before, cool tones and mattes are what are going to give you believable shadow. That's if somebody would have slapped me in the back of the head in the beginning of the video, that's what I would have said about the contour, is that the reason I go for a cool tone contour is that it gives you a more believable shadow. Going to touch that kind of on the outer corner here. Give us just a little illusion of depth. I always promised you guys imperfect eye looks. Well, now you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I also see now why people like Jaclyn Hill or like OGs on the platform, because they were working with HD cameras, like why they were baking, why they were doing this really, really over perfected, almost drag level makeup, is because this level of detail is kind of punishing. Do you guys remember when TVs first went to HD and all of a sudden, like Food Network, you're watching it and you're like, oh, Bobby Flay, that thing's blotchy and it's orange and it's not working, you know? And I think that everybody kind of had to make the adjustment. If I could rip this piece of hair out, I would. It drives me absolutely crazy. I would like to just like laser that off. It makes me crazy. Okay, so that is almost everything on my face that I bought from Charlotte Tilbury at the sale. We're going to do eyeliner and mascara real quick, and then we'll come back and do lips, and then we will talk about this finishing spray, and then we will move into final thoughts. Okay, so I am back with my eyeliner and mascara and brows on, and I'm just having trouble getting to a place where I really like this makeup look. And I think that the main thing is texture, but I also think maybe the finishing spray will help. I'm not sure, but I'm just kind of trying to touch it up, clean it up, change the textures where I feel uncomfortable about them, but let's go ahead and do this finishing spray, and then we will put on a little lip while it dries. I bought this and I was like, I want to know what Charlotte Tilbury's take on a finishing spray is going to be. It reminds me a lot in finish of the Veil one from Hourglass, but this does have a fragrance to it. I actually really like the sprayer on it. I don't mind the fragrance. This actually pleasantly surprised me. I feel like the texture that it gives the skin, the way that it actually like melts everything down, the way that it dries down is really, really pretty. I feel like it does compensate a lot for like the amount of built up powder I have on my face right now, which is not something that I super love the appearance of. Again, I hope that it kind of helps. Let me zoom in so that you guys can kind of see. Oh, also, I thought that this was gonna come in glass and it doesn't, at least the smaller of the two. I'm not sure if the big size, like the original size or whatever, comes in glass, but bear in mind that the mini does not. There you can see the texture of that finishing spray once it's dried down. You can also see every pore on my face. Let me see how the autofocus works. Is it gonna keep hunting? Is that gonna be really annoying? Or does this thing focus so well that it won't be annoying? I wonder. We might be onto something, fam. All right, in the interest of experimenting, let's go ahead and do my lips real quick and we will leave the autofocus on. I apologize if it does hunt. We will see in post. You guys are on this experiment with me right now, so I have a little bit of lip balm on. Going in with my khaki lip liner. Let me see, like if I were to do this, okay. Maybe I have superpowers now. That focuses really fast. Little homie has the hiccups now. I hope that's okay with you guys. If we've got autofocus that actually doesn't make you guys sick, then this camera was money well spent all day long. All right, I think I'm gonna go pink on my lips. I'm gonna go with the Tower 28 Milky Gloss in Coconut. Just gonna bring this all together. With the nude liner, I think that they'll kind of even each other out. Give us something that Charlotte Tilbury would be proud of, maybe? I don't know. Okay, it's not terrible, but I'm really uncomfortable with the blush situation. I want it to be pinker, I want it to be more matte, so I'm gonna go in with some Hourglass, even though that's not gonna give me matte, but it's gonna give me pink. And it's gonna give me blur. And it's gonna give me pigment. I feel like I couldn't get pigment out of that blush without just getting it almost a highlight level of shimmer. Maybe I'm just judging myself really harshly because of the camera quality, but like, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna move you guys out. I'm gonna attempt to move you guys out, and then we will talk final thoughts on all of these products. What is up, autofocus? Oh my God. Okay, so from this distance, I feel like everything looks okay. I was definitely having my misgivings. I don't know, I think that like no one should be expected to be criticized like that close up, but I am grateful for the level of detail that I'm able to give you guys. Like just knowing that the possibility exists, we might not always want to utilize it. Anyway, let's talk final thoughts on these products, starting with this little guy right here. For all of the hype that this gets, I really feel like it's not that necessary in my collection personally, just because this highlight, it's just not what I think that, again, I came into this with the wrong expectations. This might be an amazing one-stop solution for you if you are looking for a bronzer and a highlighter and you don't want to be troubled with buying individual pans of anything else and you don't already have something like that in your collection. This is very redundant in my collection. It's even redundant on my face right now. I feel like it just didn't do what I expected it to do, in that I thought that it was going to be a more cool toned contour that was going to be more effective as a contour, and I thought that the highlight was going to be more of a pigment highlight, not so much a shimmer highlight, but I feel like this kind of goes to the same thing as these and kind of, you know, it's overkill at the end of the day. Obviously I love this. This is like my favorite bronzer right now. The Hollywood Superstar Glow Highlighter. Do you need this? Not necessarily, but is it a lot of fun? Absolutely. There's something really like luxurious about this gigantic pan to begin with, but I actually really like this color, and if you're gonna put out one shade, that's a shade that's gonna show up on everybody. It might be too blushy, dark, deep pink, whatever, for certain very pale skin tones, but I don't think that that's going to look icy, ashy on anyone as far as deep skin tones are concerned. So I think that it's as universal as a highlight can get. It's a face and body highlighter, so, you know, go nuts. But yes, I am really glad that I bought this. I do think it's a really pretty highlighter, and I don't have another highlighter in my collection that is kind of this same pinky shade. I feel like it works really nicely. Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm not spending too much time on that bronzer, it's because if you're new here, this is like, the bronzer has lived on my channel for a while. It's not new to my collection at all. I talk about it all the time. I love it. So something that is new to my channel, this Cheek to Chic and Pillow Talk. I would say this is the most disappointing out of everything that I got. This is the one thing that I think I probably won't continue using at all because it's too shimmery. It's not the colorway that I expected it to be. And I don't feel like that's necessarily the fault of anyone buying this online based on the swatches, because you look at either the completely misleading photos of it where I swear like every picture looks different. Looking now online, I'm realizing that there is a regular and a high intensity version of the Pillow Talk colorway. I swear, I just checked my order. I did not order the high intensity. I'm not sure if they sent me the high intensity, but I did not order it. So that said, Pillow Talk is supposed to be kind of her universal colorway, and I feel like maybe I'm a little too light for a universal colorway in her collection because it just didn't give me, I don't know, a believable color on my cheeks without just going full highlight with the actual texture. And I feel like the more I put on, the more I didn't like the way that my makeup looked, I guess. And that's how you know you don't like something, I guess. That's math. Add product, subtract satisfaction. I just wouldn't recommend it. Eye products. This, absolute winner. I know that we didn't spend too much time on it because it's literally one eyeshadow, but if I could speak to this formula, the formula is crazy awesome. I have never used the Tom Ford eyeshadows, the little cream pot eyeshadows, but I watched Amanda Z rave about it in her recent Sephora recommendations video, and when she swatched it, I feel like it's very similar in idea and execution to this formula. And I should clarify, she probably does have something that's similar to the Scattered Light from Hourglass in her collection, but this isn't it. This one is just a really beautiful cream eyeshadow that really does work as an eyeshadow. Too many cream eyeshadows, like the RMS, I don't know, there's a bunch of cream eyeshadows. The RMS is just the one that comes to mind. Try to do this and they still end up too oily, gummy, creasy, obnoxious, and this doesn't do that. It's really beautiful, and I feel like it's super user-friendly and that you can actually get a one shadow look from this. The Exaggereyes Bigger Brighter Eyes Filter, the quad that I picked up, I mean, this is kind of me in a tiny little palette. I would be hard pressed to pick 4 shades that I liked more than this. I would say that this would be the only one that I would maybe trade in just because it's a little golder than I thought it was going to be on my skin. Like, it's just a little more copper. I wish it was just a little bit rosier, but like, we are splitting hairs. I am being super like picky, semantical, whatever. Like, I think that this is the perfect little cool toned, fun, glamorous, lots of options, little palette for someone of my skin tone. So if you have cooler undertones, or if you are looking for cooler undertones and you are a little on the paler side because there isn't a really, really deep crease shade in here, I would highly recommend this. Highly recommend it. I really like her formula. And then finally, her setting spray. Again, guys, pleasantly surprised by this. I am actually not sure like what the ingredients are in this, but it feels like it's pretty glycerin-y because it does a lot of the same thing that the Hourglass one does, where it makes your makeup feel kind of, or look even kind of flexible, which is something that I love in a finishing spray because, you know, there's finishing sprays that mattify and they're a lot like primers, right? They all kind of serve different purposes based on the aesthetic you're trying to achieve. This does an excellent job of keeping everything like put. I've worn this, like I said, I've done this makeup look, I've done it at least 3 times and worn it for like a full day. And I've filmed it already once before kind of thing. Like, I've had plenty of experience with this exact face of makeup, and this really does extend wear time. And I like that it doesn't, like, when it goes on, it looks a little bit crazy dewy, but it doesn't look crazy dewy once it dries down. It doesn't feel greasy or like, I don't know, sticky or anything like that. And as you guys can see, like I have said a lot recently, I haven't had any Botox in a while. And so things like to gather where my face creases. And that's the difference I feel like with a finishing spray that makes makeup more flexible, is that it keeps it from gathering. It makes it long wearing, but it keeps it from gathering. And that is, it's fantastic. I think that that is like the ideal situation for me and my skin type. That is where we have arrived on this. I hope that that was helpful for you guys because I did expect to like more things. I think that there's something about her price point that makes you think everything is going to practically put itself on for you. And it should, honestly. And you know, whether or not Charlotte Tilbury is for you has a lot to do with whether or not you appreciate luxury packaging and a vibe when you're using makeup. Yes, her formulas are beautiful. Yes, her colorways are exquisite, but it still might not be worth the price to you if luxury feeling and heavy packaging and stuff doesn't make any difference to you. If it doesn't make any difference to you, then don't pay for it. You know, I personally love a luxury experience when I'm putting on my makeup. It makes me value the makeup that I buy more, and it honestly just enhances the experience of putting on my makeup, but that is like an intangible that not everybody finds valuable. So I hope that you guys did find this helpful if you were trying to discern between any of these cult favorites that that I happened to buy to know. I just wanted to know. If you did find this valuable, do give it a thumbs up, guys. If you like the new camera quality, let me know. It's definitely, like I said, exposing me, but I think from this distance I can deal with it. If this is your first time watching one of my videos and you enjoyed yourself, then definitely hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.